Hi, everybody. I'm Dan, and I do product at Avail. And today I'm going to be talking about something we're calling liquid apps. So let me talk a bit, see if this thing works. Great. Yeah, so a little context. So as you all probably know, the Web3 space is always changing fast. And in this instance, what I mean is really the number of chains being launched, not just, it used to be the roll-up thesis, right? Like that was an Ethereum thing that happened. But you now see even traditional finance players like Stripe, right? And like Google are launching their own L1s. So really we're in a heavily multi-chain world, and the trend is continuing, it's accelerating even. And this is something that we saw a while ago, right? So Avail's roots are in the data availability space. And the whole, we were there to power the roll-up thesis. And the whole thesis is that if you focus on data availability, you can actually have many chains on top. So we always knew that the direction was many chains, and that was the likely path for scaling. And it seems to me like that was spot on. That's for sure what's happening. We have tons of chains, and the thing is, when you have a lot of chains, now you have a lot of bridges because each chain will have at least probably one canonical bridge if it's an L2 or an L3. Even if it's an L1, then you still need bridges to just try to suck liquidity into your chain, right? And as a chain, you're trying to create an ecosystem on your chain. So you focus a lot on these bridges. But from a user point of view, this is a pretty terrible status quo. You have all of these chains create a lot of fragmentation in the liquidity. So users will use one app here, one app there. They might move some liquidity around. Now, pretty soon, they just have little pockets of stuff everywhere, which then leads to UX complexity, right? And a very degraded user experience, because whenever they want to use something, like now I can't just use it. Now I have to go figure out, okay, where do I pull stuff from? Oh, I need to pull it from here. Oh, but this app only accepts, this chain only has one bridge here, right? I want to move to liquidity to Hyperliquid. You need to put your USDC on Arbitrum, right? Because that's where their bridge is. And so that sucks. And then it creates trust assumptions. It creates questionable security in some cases. It's just like the complexity, like users cannot be expected to really understand the details of how all these bridges work. And it creates weaker composability, worse capital efficiency, which just feeds this cycle. So, how does a chain and an application, how do they go multi-chain? So the first step really is the chain itself has to do something usually. The chain will have a state-verified lock and mint bridge, right? So this is the state of the art for how you would connect two chains together. You would basically have the ability to verify the state of one chain or another, and then you would use that to build a lock and mint bridge. But really, that's these bridges are slow, and they are usually not very user-friendly, not very usable. So then step two is, okay, now we need something faster, right? So instead of it taking 4 hours, you want something that takes a few minutes. And so you say, okay, we'll try to abstract complexity and make it so that users can just use this one fast bridge that uses liquidity on both sides to just front you the money and then rebalance itself later. And that's a little bit better, but the user experience still sucks to the user, right? Because they're still dealing with a ton of bridge UIs. And so the third step is to basically abstract the chain complexity so that the users who want to use the app don't have to deal with this. And that's kind of where we're at right now. We have a ton of the first two kind of bridges, and we don't have a lot of this third step. And so we call it solver-based user onboarding. And so the current solutions, these these names here are not really like these products bleed. But just to give you an idea, like the low-level bridges are things like Wormhole or Layer 0 Hyperlane. And then you have like pure liquidity bridges at the second level. And then at the end, you have things like Across and Particle and so on. And so how do liquid apps fit into this picture? So the thing so far about the experience that I described is that the user goes to an application, and then they realize that they can't use that application. They have to go somewhere else to go bridge liquidity around. So what we really want is we want apps themselves to be liquid. And what we mean by that is the app can just use your liquidity from wherever it is. So an application that brings financial liquidity from all chains, from any chain, or an application that can communicate and coordinate across chains, or an app that just can seamlessly let users who haven't used the chain that the application is on come and use the application. Like we call that a liquid app. It has all of these qualities, and it really changes the way in which the application can be built and marketed. Because right now, an application developer, like a builder, would think, okay, I'm gonna pick the ecosystem that I want to be in, and then once I'm in that ecosystem, I want to market to that ecosystem. And that can still be true. You can still do that. But really, if you have the ability to just attract any user, you can go market your application to other users outside of that ecosystem if it's easy enough for that user to come and onboard into your app. And that's the part that's missing. It's too hard to onboard the user right now. So with Nexus, this is what we aim to solve. We basically want to go all the way to like the top of the ladder. Nexus solves the problems for rollups and app chains, right? So as a rollup and as an app chain, your big problem is you're trying to bootstrap an ecosystem on your chain. You're trying to make it so that people can build apps on your chain and bring liquidity to your chain. It also solves the problem for apps, right? Because the app builder also just wants to get liquidity into their app. So now the app can choose. It's kind of like if I'm on Web2 land, I can choose to deploy my app on DigitalOcean or Amazon S3. And that's a totally separate choice from who I use as a payment provider, right? Like I can use Stripe or I can use Iden or whatever, and like I can take credit cards. And these are totally separate choices that I can make as a developer. They're not coupled. And in Web3, they're kind of coupled. And we're saying they shouldn't be, right? I should be able to deploy in whatever chain seems best for my app. Maybe it has very fast transaction times, very cheap transactions, whatever it is that is good for my app. Maybe there's other local functionality that I want to compose with. But then I can attract users from anywhere. And so that's what we built with Nexus. So I think next, so of course the goal is to make it so that you can access all of the liquidity of Web3, right? As opposed to just the liquidity that happens to be on the chain that you deployed, or that you can convince users to move to that chain. So let's see a short demo, and hopefully this will work. Do I click next? Yes. Okay. So this is Hyperliquid, and we modified Hyperliquid to have a that was combined balance. I don't know if you saw, but this is a version of our widget that is pulling from different chains directly into Hyperliquid. So the user clicks OK, an intent is created, and it pulls from 4 chains. And then it supplies directly into Hyperliquid. And so once the transfer is complete and the user has approved the transactions, then the balance will be somewhere. Yeah, this is the actual Arbiscan transaction, so you can see what was deposited. And 14 was the total available to the user, but it was spread across multiple chains. And then this will update. So this we built. It's built as an add-on, as an extension, as a demo. And the extension basically integrates the Nexus SDK into the Hyperliquid, the actual live Hyperliquid UI. So this is live right now on the Chrome App Store if you want to try it out. It, um, the goal is not that all users install this add-on. That's not our. This is just to demonstrate what is possible. Like our goal is for applications to actually use the SDK. But we thought that it would be really powerful to show how it could work on an actual live, running site. Because we basically modified the Hyperliquid UI to allow you to pull from multiple chains, right? So you don't have to bridge to Arbitrum and then from Arbitrum over to Hyperliquid. You can just directly say, I want to deposit into Hyperliquid, and it'll just pull from anywhere. And then we have a bunch of cool stuff soon that we're launching. We're adding more chains. We support 10 chains right now. I don't know if I talk about that. Oh yeah, we have these UI widgets. You saw a version of these on the Hyperliquid app because the widgets are customizable, and the SDK can also be used headless, so you don't have to use these widgets. But if you want like a drop-in, ready-to-go solution in your app, you can just use these widgets. You can just invoke them and say when the user clicks deposit, just pop this thing up and deposit the money into this contract, and we take over. Yeah, we worked really hard on making them really easy to use. So we're pretty excited about these. And yeah, we support 10 chains right now. We're adding chains all the time. And yeah, happy to chat more or answer questions if you want to know more about how it works or anything about it. Yes, question? How fast?
How fast?
Yeah, so so Nexus is able to use different methods to actually move the liquidity over. The demo that I just showed uses solvers behind the scenes, and using that method, which is the preferred method, right now it takes like 10 seconds, so it's pretty fast. Can take less, can take a little more sometimes, but around that. Nexus can also use, we are also working on burn and mint. But we think that burn and mint will most likely be used by the solvers to rebalance rather than for an end user transaction. But it is possible to use burn and mint even for an end user transaction. So if you're trying to move like a very large amount and where the solver maybe doesn't have the liquidity, or you don't want to deal with any potential slippage, right? That would be needed for that. Like you don't want to pay the solver. Then the SDK can. Well, this is still in the works, but it will be able to use burn and mint. And yeah, sorry, I can deep dive more into the guts, but let me know. Yes.
Hyperliquid have their own AI?
Sorry, what? The Hyperliquid?
Have their own AI.
Does we have AI to route? Right now, the routing does not use AI. It's fairly straightforward routing at the moment, and it serves us well. I think in the future we might have more complicated routing, and so at that point, maybe AI makes sense, but we'll have to evaluate that in the future. It would be possible, I think, to potentially build automated systems that use Nexus, and for those systems to use AI, I think would be a more likely candidate.
Any more questions? I have a quick question as well. So how ready is all of this? You said the app is available on the Google Chrome store?
Yep. The demo that I gave is live right now. So you can use it. It's live with 10 chains. So it works on mainnet.
OK. And in the demo, this was a single button people had to press. It wasn't 4 separate buttons for each chain.
Correct. Yes. There are separate wallet approvals that you have to give. So you have to do an allowance, and then you have to approve like a one approval for the transfer that is transitive to all chains. And I don't know the exact details of how that works. I think we can use 7702 where that's available, but I think we don't require it. So some details there. And then there's another approval if you want to do a deposit as opposed to just a bridge, then that's a separate wallet approval. So it's like 3 clicks right now.
Okay. But it is actually a single signature for all 4 chains. It's
Yes.
not doing 4 signatures under the hood. But the signatures is not just like a transaction. It's approving something else that can be used in all 4 chains.
It is you're approving, yes, you're allowing us to then move on all 4 chains with one approval, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Thank
so
you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You can add.
No, it's just like, I can keep talking about the protocol, but like, we can just connect offline.